Good evening, everybody. Welcome you all to the ISO 9001 2015 internal auditor training session. It's a week one and day two. So yesterday we have gone through the basics and what we are going to study in this training session, what will be the methodology of assessments, and the today's training session will be having clause of confidentiality will always be there every day at the start. We will be having this. Then what is the ISO? How the standards are made? Who is authorized and responsible to prepare the standards? When we are following something, we should be able to know that from where it has come, what effort has been gone into preparing that standard. So once you know that yes, what kind of efforts has been put in into preparing the standards, who all are making a standard, who are all parties to making the standard, then you will take that thing seriously. You should know the origin of all these things. Then what are the ISO 9000 series standards? So 9001 is one of the ISO 9000 series standards. So there are three more standards in this series, not basically for implementation, it is basically for guidance. One is for implementation also. People who do the auditing can, organizations who do the auditing can implement that also. So that we will go in detail. Then fundamental concepts and quality management principle. So what is the fundamental concept behind the quality management and the quality management principles? These two things we will cover. And then what is the purpose of this ISO 9001 2015 implementation in an organization? So with today's session, we will have a preparation of our base. We want to build the house of ISO 9001, and for that we need a strong base. So we will build our house of ISO 9001 training, awareness and auditing on this particular base. So we will go through this one, we will discuss in brief, and we will have interactive session also in between. So clause of confidentiality, as I'm telling you that many of the content has been sourced from internet, from the standards, and based on the uh, experience of myself. So please do not share this content on any of the public platform. Keep it with you. Do not share the screenshots with your friends. Do not publish the screenshots on any of the platform. Keep it with you. Read it as many times as you want. Go through the recording, understand the concept, but just do not share it anywhere. So coming, what is the ISO? ISO is basically International Organization for Standardization. So how many of you have not known this? People who don't know just can tell that yes, we don't know what was ISO earlier. What is the meaning of ISO? It is the International Organization for Standardization. So those who don't know, they can unmute and tell. There is no, people should not hesitate in telling that yes, they don't know. If you don't know, that is the say starting of knowing something. You realize that yes, you don't know, then you can take efforts to know that thing. So how many of you, I just want to understand, how many of you haven't known the long form of ISO? If nobody is there, it's a great thing. Okay, good that everybody is knowing that what is this ISO stands for. And basically it's not a single body, it's not like a single body controlling everything. It is basically a federation of national standards bodies, which are basically ISO member bodies. So there are bodies, the apex bodies from each and every country, from one member per country. It is not that from India there are 2 3 members are there, member organizations are there. No, it is only one member organization from the India on that body, which comprises, which makes the ISO. So total there are 165 members are there, member bodies are there from different countries, and these members are categorized into three. categories. These are basically, one are the member bodies. There are total 122 member bodies in the ISO Federation. Then there are correspondent member bodies, 39 members are there. And then there are subscriber members. There are 4 members in this category. From India, as I told you, there is a BIS, who is a member body of ISO. Okay. If you want to know more about these member bodies and which all countries are there, what bodies are there from each country, so you can go to this link here, iso.org members, and you will find the list of all the 65 member bodies. Okay. Now, who prepares the standard? These are the member. You know that yes, ISO prepares the standard, ISO standard. There are many other standard. ASTM will prepare ASTM standard. BIS will prepare their own standard, IS standards. The American Standard Institute will prepare their own standards. Japanese will produce their own JIS standards. But who produces or who prepares these ISO standards? These ISO standards are basically prepared by the technical committee, ISO technical committee, which comprises members from the member body organizations, member body countries. For this 9001 2015 standard, there is a technical committee called ISO TC. TC is for Technical Committee 176. There are many technical committees. For this particular preparation of the ISO 9001 2015, there is a technical committee, ISO TC 176, quality management and quality assurance. So the documents or the standards, basically specifications related to the quality management and quality assurance, are basically prepared by this ISO TC 176. And in that there was a subcommittee SC2. Subcommittee SC is for subcommittee 2, which prepared this standard, that is ISO 9001 2015. Apart from the member bodies, the international organizations, governmental and non-governmental organizations can also contribute toward the preparation of standards, because there will be once they prepare a draft, it will be on the internet. So if you want to contribute, okay, if you want to contribute, you want something, you can approach them, you can put forth your suggestions. It is up to them whether to entertain or not. Yeah, I have done myself. I have contributed to one of the standards. It's the ASTM D4975. It was for bead wire. There was one small correction I wanted, so I have written to their committee. So in 2015, you will see that where you can write also. So in ASTM D4975, I had written to them, almost followed them up with 1 year, and I got it changed to the required. Say some nomenclature was there, so that particular changes has been done. So they entertain. It is not that they ignore you. If your concerns are genuine, if your suggestions are genuine, you can always contribute towards changes, positive changes in these standards. And when it becomes an international standards, it becomes an international standard if at least 75% of the member bodies who cast the vote approves the standard. If it is less than 70, because it has a member bodies from all the countries, it may happen that few of the countries will say no, we don't approve this draft, or we have some issues with some of the uh, content in the standard, so they vote against that one. So when it starts, basically they take the suggestions, and when the draft is prepared, they can either say yes or no, or there might be some bodies who are absent in the voting. So for becoming an international standard, there should be a approval of at least 75% of the member bodies who cast the vote. Then it can be a technical specification. Standard means like ISO 9001 2015 is a standard because it has been approved by more than 75% of the member bodies. Another can be a technical specification like ISO TS 16949, which is now become IATF 16949. So why it was not a ISO standard and it was just a technical specification? Because it has not got approval from more than 75% of the member bodies. So if it is approved by 2/3, that is, you can say around 66.66% of the members, if it is between 66.66 to 75%, then it can be termed as or classified as a technical specification. Because there were certain countries, their bodies, standard bodies, they opposed to this rationalization of that particular 16949. Then third is the ISO PAS, that is publicly available specification. If any draft or any that particular specification in the preparation is approved by 50% or more members, then but less than 66.66, then it can be accepted as a publicly available specification. Okay, so this is how the standards are prepared and standards are categorized. Just to tell you that what are the steps are involved in preparing the standards, why we are going through all these things. As I told you, just to make you aware that it is not just coming from somewhere outside. Don't think that ISO has came from outside. There was a contribution from the BIS also, Bureau of Indian Standards, and they have given the consent also for the contents. Whatever the content is there, they have given the approval. So don't think that yes, we didn't have contributed. Our people have also contributed in this standard. So when we know that now, yes, we were also a party to the standards, so now you can accept it from within. Not it is like implied by somebody else. It is not forced onto us by somebody else. So when the standards are prepared, how they are prepared? They have various stages. So here you can see almost 7 stages starting from 0. So it starts with the preliminary stage, then a proposal stage. When the proposal is approved, then it goes to the preparatory stage. When preparation is done, then it goes to the committee stage, where there is a committee draft, where there will be a voting for that one. Then it goes to inquiry stage. Okay, so it means that inquiry means it can take the inquiries or inputs from the member bodies. Then the final is the approval stage, that is final draft international standard. It becomes a FDIS, that is final draft international standards. And after that it comes to the publication stage. So every stage has a time period. It is not like that today you put a proposal and tomorrow you start preparatory stage. No, there is a time lag of almost 3 to 6 months in between every stages. Almost there will be a voting, there will be a say input from each and every member bodies. So to prepare one standard, it almost take up to 2 years also, up to the publication stage. Starting from a preliminary stage to a publication stage, it can vary from almost say anywhere between 1 year to 2 years. The ASTM standard where I have given my inputs, it took me almost 1 year plus. Every 3 months or 6 months they have a meeting, so you have to put your point into that one. You have to send the mails to them. They ask you some clarification, you send them, and then they will say they will raise it in the next committee meeting. Okay. So lot of efforts has been put in making these standards. They have taken the input, they have considered all the interested parties who are all will be affected by these standards. So there is a brain of not only 1 to 10, there is a brain of almost more than 100 people working toward this preparation of this standard. So we have to respect these standards. They are prepared by many intellectuals, many experts. So the purpose was to let you understand that lot of effort has been put in preparing this standard. So follow it from the heart, not just the sake of getting the certificates. So now what are these ISO 9000 series standards? What are these ISO 9000 series standards? So ISO 9000 series, when say, it is basically a set of international standards for quality management and quality assurance. It is not specific to any particular industry. It can be applied to any industries. And it is not just like for manufacturing, okay, or some servicing. No, it can be applied to your education also, hospitality, healthcare, hotels, many industries it can be applied to. A 9000 सीरीज की जो फैमिली है ना, it is basically not a single standard. ISO 9000 is a series of standard, of family of standards, but it also contains one standard by name of ISO 9000. So ISO 9000 is a series of standard. They call it a series, ISO 9000 series, but there is a particular standard also by name of ISO 9000. So don't confuse with ISO 9000 standard and ISO 9001 family of standard or series of standards. So in this ISO 9000 series, there are 4 standards included. One is ISO 9001 2015. What it is basically, it is quality management systems requirements. So in this standard, the requirements for a quality management system has been defined or has been elaborated. A 9000, ISO 9000, it's the quality management systems, but it includes fundamentals and vocabulary. Vocabulary means, what do you mean by vocabulary? Yes, anybody, what is the meaning of vocabulary? Yes, I am not able to hear. Somebody is answering.
It's a kind of dictionary.
It's the kind of
Dictionary.
Parallel
dictionary.
word meaning.
Yes, parallel word meaning, you can say definition basically. A simple word, you can say it a definitions, because there are the wordings, many of the wording, like audit. What is audit? What is an organization? What is the top management? Okay, top management is a word, but what is the top management? So what in this wording, in purview of this standard, there will be a definition of top management. There will be a definition of organizations. So tomorrow when we are going to start, before jumping into the clauses, what we are going to do, we are going through various vocabularies tomorrow. You will come to know what is an organization, what is the quality management system, what is top management. Can somebody tell what is top management? Because many a times you will see in the standard that it will say the responsibility of the top management. So what is top management?
Decision making people.
Decision making people. Yes. So it can be a person or group of person, okay, who can decide, take some decisions.
Director bodies, sir.
Director bodies, but in now when tomorrow we are going to the definitions, you will see exactly what it means. So that's why for the purpose of this 9001, in the normative reference it has been given that yes, you for the definitions and vocabulary refer ISO 9000 2015. So how many of you have gone through this one? How many of you, number one, how many of you have heard about ISO 9000, and how many of you have actually seen the ISO 9000, gone through it, check something? Anybody is there? Anyone is there who have seen this document, gone through this document?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good that you have
Yes,
gone
sir.
through the. Okay, so basically those who have gone through it, it is well and good. For those who have not gone through it one, you can get this on the internet. You just search it on the internet, you see from where you can get. Anyhow, some of the definitions, the important definitions, we will discuss tomorrow. Then there is a ISO 9004 2018. This is basically a quality management, quality of an organization, guidance to achieve sustained success. Sustain means maintain. So there is a guidance also. The document will give you a guidance. This 9004 will give you a guidance how you can achieve a sustained success. Why it is not just a success? Because if you achieve a success, it may happen that tomorrow you will not be able to maintain it. So basically you have to sustain and improve also. So 9004 will give you a guidance on sustaining the success. If an organization has reached to a level of quality management system, how they will sustain that success has been given in this standard, that is ISO 9004. And the last one in this series of ISO 9000 is ISO 19011, that is guidelines for auditing management systems. How you will audit the management systems has been given in this 19011. Definitely 9001 will also have how to do the audit, but it is very concise. It will be just for this particular standard. But in 19011 there is a completely elaborated how to do the audit, the traits of an auditor. In 9001 you will not find that yes, auditor should be this, auditor should be that. They should have various qualities: communication, diplomatic, he should be able to listen to the people, a good listener. So all these traits you will not find in the 9001 2015. But if you refer 19011, you will find a complete requirements of, or you can say guidelines for auditing management system. So the auditors, for example, if you go for a lead auditor course of 9001, they will be teaching you as per 19011. In the lead auditor course, they are not going to tell you about 9001 2015, because lead auditor course is for auditing. They suppose that yes, you know about the 9001, you have to prepare on your own about 9001 2015. Questions will be based on the 9001 2015, but focus will be on how you will do the audit, various types of audit preparation, audit planning, what is the scope, what is the scope of a certification. So all these things are covered in 19011. So it is just for the purpose of you people's understanding. There are the different documents also. So when you go higher in your career, only referring 9001 will not be sufficient. You have to refer other standards also. If you want to make a career, or if you want to understand the auditing better way, you can refer 19011. If you want to implement the quality management system, then you can refer 9004 also. So it is just for the benefit of you people. Now coming to the fundamental concept. So before we move to the fundamental concept, I would like to ask any one of you have any queries till now? Something anybody wants to discuss? Okay. So fundamental concepts. So fundamental concept of quality management. So basically quality, and you are managing a quality. So quality is just not a, like testing the sample is not a quality. No, we are talking about here is a overall quality. So the fundamental, there are 5 fundamentals of quality management. These are quality, then quality management system, interested parties, context of an organization, and support. So these are the fundamental concept. If you understand this, understanding this fundamental concept will help you in establishing a proper quality management system. It is a base. Basically we are preparing a base, so we will go through all these fundamentals one by one. We should be able to understand what is quality, what is quality management system, what is interested parties, what is the context of an organization, and the support, the people, competence, awareness, and communication. So now we will go one by one. So quality is basically a culture. It is not science or art or something you can just put into the place very easily. It's a cultural thing. Otherwise, if it is not a cultural thing, two organizations having the same standard, referring to the same standard, same quality management standards, performs differently. You may find that two organizations in the similar product following ISO 9001, another company B is also following 9001, similar product. Okay, this is company A, this is company B. You will find that there is a difference in the performance of these both the companies. Company B might be performing very well, whereas company A is not performing so well, but they are following the same quality management system, producing the same product. So what is that which makes a difference? You can even consider they have the similar machines. Is basically a culture. Culture, in building imbibing the culture takes time, takes a lot of efforts. When you focus on the quality of the product and services, why it is said that you focus on the quality of the product and services? Why not just focus on the productivity? Produce more, produce more, produce more. Because producing more will not bring changes in the working culture of an organization. It may sometime downgrade the culture, because for attaining that particular level of production, people bypasses some basic systems. They bypasses the SOPs, they bypasses the standards, because to achieve something they overlook something. But if the focus is there on the quality of the product and services, not only product, here we are talking about the services also, it can bring changes in the working culture of an organization. This, when we have a focus on the quality, it will help the organization to satisfy the needs and expectation of the customers. So you have to first understand the needs and expectation of the customers. Once you know that what the customer needs and what the customer expects, there are two different things. One is the need and one is the expectation. Need is basically, you can see need can be a common between many people, but expectation can be different. It varies from person to person. It varies from gender to gender. Needs is okay. For example, if you are a car manufacturer, you know that yes, what people need. People need a car, people need a vehicle which takes them from one place to another. But the expectation can be very different from the same thing. A man can expect something else from the car and the woman can expect something else. Their level of expectation can be different. So basically, when the organization focuses on the products and services, it will also help them to satisfy the needs and expectation of the customers and the interested parties. It is not just the customer, it's the interested parties also. Interested party is also one of the fundamental concept of quality management. We will go into next slides. So basically, focusing the quality has a multifold benefits. Those organizations who don't focus on the quality, or those who give a secondary importance to quality, will not survive for long. They may get a success, but it will not be sustainable success. And quality is not just focusing on meeting the functional requirement. If we are making something, it's just not the functional requirement, because everything has some requirement. So car has a requirement that yes, it should travel from one place to another, make some lesser noise, achieve the required mileage, achieve the required comfort. But apart from that, the quality focus is on the perceived value and benefit to the user oblique customer. Perceived value means perception. People's perception can be different. So one has to understand the perception of their user, the customer. And by focusing the quality, people can address, the organization can address the needs and expectation, the perceived value and benefit that customer is looking for. And once the organization starts doing this, nobody can stop them from achieving their goals or their objectives. So it is a very important fundamental of quality management, that is quality of the product and services. Everybody's focus should be quality. Quality is everybody's business. It is said that quality is everyone's business or everybody's business. And understand, it's a culture. And culture takes long time to imbibe into the people. Okay. So this is the first fundamental. Second is the quality management system. So what is basically a quality management system? So quality management system is nothing but a set of activities. And these activities, basically what they do, they identify the organization's objectives. The quality management system is basically activity to identify organization's objectives. It is not just the quality objective, what we take that yes, our manpower should be this one, or electric consumption should be this one, water consumption should be this one. No, it is far more than that. What is the objective of an organization? What they want to become? So that activities basically which identify organization's objective, and the activities to determine the processes and resources required to achieve intended results. So if you want to produce something, if we want to produce a product in a particular cost or a product meeting the particular requirement, what are the processes and resources are required? So you have a process here. So you will have input, you will have output. So output, you know that yes, I need output with this particular functionality, this particular results I want in the output. So the role of the QMS is to determine the processes and the resources which is required to achieve these results. What it does, it helps organization to identify the actions to address intended and unintended consequences in providing products and services. The quality management system will help the organization to address the intended and unintended consequences. There will be a consequences. Something will be intended, some consequence will be unintended while we produce a product or give the services. So establishing a quality management system is very, very important. So carrying out this activity will also help top management to optimize its resources. The use of resources, the resources means the people, the machineries, the material. So if the quality management system is not there, you don't have a process to determine all these things, and without this one, the organization cannot have a sustained growth, a sustained performance, and they cannot achieve the objectives, required objectives. That's why a quality management system is required. And 9001, we can say that a quality management system based on the 9001 requirement, ISO 9001 requirement. So basically ISO 9001 standard gives it's the standard, it's the specification for a quality management system. It outlines the requirement for a quality management system. Third is the interested parties. When we move to the 9001, when we go through the clauses, there also we will discuss about the interested parties. But this is one of the fundamental concept of quality management, the interested parties. Interested means who are interested. Interested means parties are not interested. For the organizational point of view, which are all these parties? Parties in the sense, it can be a physical object also, or physical things also, or can be a certain organization, certain peoples also. So these interested parties are basically those things which poses risk to the organization's working. The work which is organization carried out, their sustained growth depends on these interested parties. If the needs and expectation of these interested parties are not met or not addressed, it can impact the organization's working adversely. And that's why the number one step is to identify the interested parties. Who are all these interested parties who can affect the organization's working? It can be internal, it can be external also. And earlier the focus was only on the customer. Everybody was thinking satisfy the customer, everything will be all right. But no, today it is not only focusing on the customer. We have to identify the other interested parties also. It can be a governmental organization, non-governmental organization, the locality, the society, which you are not directly related to. It is not your customer directly, but they are interested parties because they have some needs and expectation from your organization. A society requires that your organization, maybe if yours is a manufacturing organization, they expect that your organization should not pose any risk to their society, should not pose any hazard to their society, their locality. It should not pollute the resources, maybe the water, land. They want that your organization should not pollute the resources. It should not produce unnecessary noise. So these are basically the expectation of the society from this one. There are the government organizations also. These are also interested parties which want your work should be as per the prescribed laws. Your organization should work within the boundaries of the laws set for that particular organization. Now, if organization doesn't identify the interested parties and don't know what is required, what is the need and expectation of these parties, do you think that organization will be able to work? Do you think that organization will be able to achieve the sustained growth? Interested parties will be your vendors also, the people who supplies you the material. They also have some needs and expectation. Your own people have some needs and expectation. And if just identifying is not a solution, you have to take actions to meet that expectation also. Interested parties doesn't mean only the political parties around your organization. Don't think that. When we are saying your organizations can't work, doesn't mean that people will come to your factory and ask you to shut down the plant just for the sake of some benefit. No, it is not that. It is basically a genuine concern. You have to see that how these interested parties are affected by your operations. So can we little bit discuss here? For organization, like I tell that locality can be one of the interested parties. Can somebody give me an example in their organization and tell me that yes, these are the interested parties for their organization? We'll have a 1 or 2 minutes of discussion here. Let us see whether people have understood this concept of interested parties. Yes, anybody can tell about that. Yes, they are working in one organization and these are the interested parties, or this can be termed as a interested parties. Yes, anybody?
Sir?
Yes, Arvind ji.
Hello?
Yes, boliye Arvind ji, I can hear. Jayashnu, you want to tell something, Mr. Jayashnu?
Yes, sir.
Okay, tell.
I'm not sure whether I'm right, but I'm just trying to say.
Yeah, please.
So, in my industry, like they collect all the waste from my industry and give to an authorized vendor. So even they are also interested party, right?
They are also interested parties.
Yeah.
Because they expect something. They expect from you. There are something needs and expectation. So what they expect from you, if you are giving them the hazardous waste, they might be expecting that it should be segregated properly. There are certain needs and there are certain expectation also. And if, for example, if you don't meet their needs and expectation, it will have adverse effect on your organization also. What they will do, they will for example, if you are not segregating the waste and giving them, tomorrow if they say that yes, they will not lift the material, what will happen? And you might be having consent up to one particular level only, you cannot store the waste above that particular level. So again, ultimately you will be breaching some laws, so it will affect your organization's sustained growth, है? And there are certain customers also who want your organization to abide by all the laws, and moreover they are more concerned about the safety and the environment. And if somewhere they found that your organization is not complying to this requirement, ultimately your sales volume may go down. So ultimately it is affecting your organization's sustained growth. So you are right that yes, these are also your, so it is very critical to identify. Action is the next thing. One is identifying. That's a very good example you have given, Mr. Jaishnu. Anybody else? Ajinkya or somebody has, I think, unmuted in between. Yes, Mr. Bhagwan.
So shareholders in that.
Yes.
Shareholder.
Shareholder can be an interested party. So you have to identify, yes, shareholder. Now what they expect, what is the needs and expectation, so that will be the next stage, that they want your organization to continually improve on the profits, and how you are addressing that one. So first thing is identifying. First thing is knowing that yes, what is the interested. So earlier people were not focused on all these things, people were focused on customer only. They don't bother about their vendors, the person who removes the wastages from their yard, or their employees, or the locality. But now it is not the case. Yes, anybody else want to say something about interested parties?
Sir,
Yes, Ajinkya.
sir, I am working in a wire drawing department. In a dry wire drawing, the burn powder are formed. Every operators collecting that burn powder from each blocks, so that
Okay.
large amount of burn powder is produced. So that powder is been given to one of the interested parties, such as that making the wheat बनवतात ना ते slabs.
Okay.
Yeah. That one thing came into my mind, and as an
That can be.
interested party.
So your interested parties can be your vendor, your customer also interested
Yes.
parties.
Right.
So vendor
Yeah.
and your customer, even your scrap collector can be the interested party.
Yes. Right. Okay.
Anybody else?
The Pollution Control Board can be an interesting party.
Yes, definitely. Because it's a governmental organization. They are expecting something from you. Expecting in the sense, they are expecting that you should work within the boundaries laid by the law. Boundary in the sense, not physical boundary. Okay, we are talking about the framework of the law. So they expect, there is a need and expectation that you should follow all the rules and regulations. You should dispose of the waste as per the, say, laid down procedures. So that is basically their expectation. And if you do not meet their expectation, okay, if organization doesn't take action to meet their expectation, organization cannot achieve the sustained growth. Okay, there will be a closure. So sometime, if customers needs and expectation आपको clear है, everybody is clear, if you don't meet the customers needs and expectation, what happens if you don't meet the needs and expectation of customer? What will happen?
Next order
It
will
can
not come.
Yes, Janklal, what you are saying?
Next order will not come.
Order will not come. It means that you will lose on the profit, and it means that because your organization has some objectives, and every business, the primary is that they have to be in the business, they have to achieve the profit. Even the stakeholder, like the shareholders, they also want, yes, the promoters want profit to be there. Now if you don't meet the needs and expectation of a customer, you are not able to achieve the sustained growth. It means it is very, very important to address the needs and expectation of interested parties. So customer is one of the interested parties. Same way, other interested parties, whether it's the governmental organizations, local bodies, even the local people, the society, these are also interested parties. And your
Sir,
vendors,
internal departments can be an interested party, na sir?
yeah, that will be interested parties for your particular say department to department. But when we talk about the interested parties of an organization, then organization cannot say, for example, your heat treatment department or your this one is a interested party. The people working there is a interested party of for an organization. People working there in the organization.
Okay,
So
sir.
for you should address, for if you are working in one section, definitely they are your internal customers. For achieving the growth of your section, you have to address you have to know the needs and expectation of your customer, you have to know the needs and expectation of your supplier. But that is on a departmental level. When we talk about the organizational level, it will be its people. The, for example, electricity board can be your interested party. You can term it as the interested party. Okay, so same thing you can apply on your section also. You may not document, but because this ISO 9001, it doesn't say that you have to make the document as per that only. Like you people have gone to the level of your department, because you can turn your department as an organization also. You can say that yes, you are a top management of your that particular department, and you can apply all these principles. Once you start focusing on this level, nobody can stop you from the growth. Your department's growth, your own growth. Now if you term your supplier, right, the material from where you are getting, your internal supplier, I'm not talking about the external, internal supplier, there is a needs and expectation of them also. It is not that there is a expectation from the customers only. But what happens, normally we focus only on the customer. In case of internal organization also, you never focus on what is expected by your supplier. So Sahil, for you, who is your interested party? Supplier is the interested party. Means which department is your interested party?
Patenting department, sir.
The heat treatment department is also. So customer is also your customer. Is who is your customer?
It's a trending department, sir.
And apart from these two, who can be other interested parties? And just tell me that whether you focus on the needs and expectation of your supplier or not, internal supplier or not, or you are just expecting that they should look to your expectation and needs.
No, sir. No, sir. We have
Have
to
you
also focus on something, sir.
yeah, so have you anytime focused, have you people listed that yes, this can be the needs and expectation of my supplier also? They can expect the empty bobbins from you, they can expect the material should be used completely, they can expect that you should identify the material properly. This is the expectation of your internal customer, internal vendor, you can say. Apart from this, can you tell me, Arvind ji, you have unmuted, you want to say something? Okay. Sahil, apart from this,
can I just ask one thing?
Yes.
The family of employees,
Hmm.
how will you consider them an interested parties or not?
Yeah, definitely. If again we have to see how it is going to affect the organization's growth. If the organization thinks that yes, the families of the employees are also having the impact on the organization's sustained growth, then you have to take them into consideration and you have to take action to meet their needs and expectation. So definitely, if you think the performance of a employee, okay, performance of an employee is has a direct impact on the organization's sustained growth, and the performance of an employee is also affected by the family members if their needs and expectations are not met. So definitely you have to consider the families of your employees a interested party. That's a good point.
Anyone have an impact, whether directly or indirectly, whatever it is.
Yes,
Just
yes,
the
yes.
thanks.
So Sahil, who are other or any other person can tell apart from the internal vendor and the customer? आपका एक internal vendor है, आपका एक internal customer है. Apart from that, who can be the interested party to you?
Uh, the support parties which helps us for a process
Like
like dye shop for a drawing and lubricant suppliers.
no,
Then
don't go to the lubricant supplier. Now these are the organization. Your internal only you can talk.
okay, internals.
You are right. You
It
are
will
saying
be
dye shop. Yes. Then
tools through maintenance team.
yes. So basically, for knowing this, you have to make the process steps, or you can say process chart, and each and every stage who are all involved in that one. Normally we think about our department only, so the people working in your department is also interested party, the maintenance people, the quality people, okay, the stores person, he is also interested party for your department. They have some expectation from you. They have expectation that you should lift the material within this time frame, and if you don't meet their expectation, needs and expectation, what will happen? Who will suffer?
Organizations.
Organization means your department will suffer first thing. So same way like stores, the duty of the stores is to give you the material, but they have a time that you should collect the material or issue the say for example material requisition slip within 4 o'clock, and if you don't do that one in your night shift, there is a requirement of a material and stores is closed, what will happen? Your section will not get that material. So definitely when there is some needs and expectation of that particular party, you have to meet that one, whether it's the internal or external, it is going to affect you. So it is very, very important. You know, same way, if you apply this principle in your house also, because this quality management system, it's not just for the organizations. If you imply these principles in your own life, it will also benefit you very much. Not only this 9001, you apply your 7QC tools, the problem solving techniques, the YY analysis, all these things you apply in your own life, na, in your families also, you will get tremendous benefit out of this one. So you can consider what are the interested parties for you apart from the family. Okay, the milk vendor. You know, if you are living in a society, your neighbors are your interested parties. If you are living in a house, you have to, you know that your outside people, the people who are living, for example your neighbors, they expect something from you. They expect that yes, you should not make noise after that particular period, and if you make a noise, what will happen? They will complain. Your interested parties are not satisfied. It will impact you only. So not meeting the needs and expectation of the interested parties is going to impact you, nobody else. It is going to impact you. So identify and define the actions. We will go through other details also. These interested parties will come along the way again. The next thing is context of the organization. So context is basically the dictionary meaning of this one is basically a situation, a situation within which something happens. What is the context? When we say what was the context? If a quarrel happens, if there is a fighting, what is the context of that particular situation? What was the context of the fighting? So we say that yes, something has happened, one person has come, another person has come here, and they have their cars collide, and this quarrel happens. So basically it's the situation within which something happens, and that particular context can explain you what has actually happened. So same way, understanding the context of an organization is very important, and it is basically a process. So understanding the context of an organization is a process of determining various factors which have impact on the organization's what purpose, for what purpose the organization is there, the objectives, and its sustainability, that is maintaining itself at a certain level. For this particular any factors, okay, that impact the organization's purpose, objectives, and sustainability. So internal factors can be value of an organization, culture, knowledge, performance. External factor can be legal, technological, competitive things. So you have to understand the context of the organization, how a technology can affect the purpose of an organization, objectivities of an organization, or their sustained growth. Market, how the market is going to impact you, cultural, social, and economic environments. Now, all these things you have to understand, and in this the interested parties will also come, because interested party is one of the factor which can have impact on the organization's purpose. So basically it's a process to determine the factors. So that is the context of a organization. You have to consider both internal factor, external factors. We will be going more into the context of an organization is also a part of this 9001. So we will go more in detail about the context of the organization. The purpose of an organization can be defined as a vision, mission, what is the policies, the objectives is one of the way to define the purposes. So here when we say it impacts the purpose, so purpose means it impacts the vision of an organization, the factors which can impact the vision, mission, policies, objectives of an organization. Okay. And the last one is the fundamental concept of quality management is the support, and support includes people, competence, awareness, communication. People is a very important resource. People can help in implementing the quality management system effectively. Top management's responsibility, their responsibility, they have a lot of authorities, but their responsibility is to provide the support and focus on people's growth, their competence. People's competence should be determined, it should be upgraded, the awareness about the quality management system requirements, awareness about the needs and expectation of the interested parties, communicating with the team is very important. So for effective implementation of the QMS and ensuring that QMS achieves its intended results, top management has to focus on people, competence, awareness and communication, which is called a support. So when these 5 things, like in the quality management concept, quality management fundamentals, we seen quality management system, interested parties, context of the organization and support. So when we know this fundamental, when we imbibe these fundamentals, like fundamentals of mathematics, what is the fundamental of mathematics? For say various like multiplication, subtraction, addition and division, there is a fundamental concept. What is that fundamental concept? There is a rule of BODMAS, that is the bracket will come first, then comes the division, then comes the multiplication, then comes the addition and then subtraction. That is basically a fundamental of a mathematics. Now you tell me, if you don't know the fundamental of that one and I give you one equation, would you be able to solve that equation without that fundamental knowledge? Yes, without applying the fundamental, will you be able to solve that particular equation?
No, sir.
No, many people makes the mistakes in that one. So like here I put it here, 4 plus, you just solve this. Let us see whether it is applied properly or not. Yes, tell me the answer of this one. What is the answer?
$95.
One answer is 95. Okay, other people? Here is a 6, it's the bracket, 15 into 6 and there is a bracket. Yeah, one answer is 95. Anybody else?
Yes. 95, sir.
Okay, 95. So basically you people have applied the principle of mathematics. So here you can, first we have to do this one. So here it is how much? 90. Then here it is a 5, then minus 3 into 2 is there, and here it is a 4. So what you will do first? You will do 3 into 2, that is here 4 plus 3 into, sorry, here it will be a 6. So you will follow some particular steps one by one because you know the fundamentals. You are not going to do this 4 plus 3, 7 into 2, then minus and then this plus. And you will solve one by one. The same way, the fundamentals of, we are not going whether it was right or wrong. The thing is that we have to apply the fundamentals. So these fundamentals will help you in effectively implementing a quality management system, whether it's based on the 9001 or some other standard. Now quickly we will go through the quality management principles. We will definitely discuss more about this tomorrow also. So this quality management principles, what is the quality management? We have seen the fundamental concept, but there is a quality management principles also. This principle is customer focus. You have to focus on the customer. You have to focus on the needs and expectation of the customers. You have to determine their requirements, their implied needs. Some needs can be spoken and some needs will be unspoken also. So your focus should be on the customer. First principle of a quality management is your focus should be on the customer. Then leadership. Leadership doesn't mean only the top management. Leadership doesn't mean only the top management. Leadership at all levels. So if you are working in the section, so you are a leader of that particular section. So management has to provide resources and ensure the leadership quality of the persons at every levels in the organization, because it determines the direction of an organization's working. Then engagement of people. People is a very, very important resource we can say in the organization. Engaging the people is very important. Engaging the people, very important to achieve the objectives, to maintain the sustained growth. Then process approach. The process approach is basically you should analyze the processes. The PDCA cycle, basically plan, do, check, act, is a process approach. How you solve the issues, how you look at the issues, how you determine the processes. Unless and until you know the interrelations between the processes, like when we are determining the interested parties, you should adopt a process approach. You should see how the processes are interacting with each other, how the customer will interact with your production process or your marketing process, how the vendors are going to communicate with your other processes. Then comes the improvement. The culture of improvement, continual improvement should be throughout the organization, because improvement is a never ending process. If you want to be in a market, a competitive market, you have to continuously improve. Nobody is perfect. You have to put in efforts to improve. So the fifth principle of quality management is improvement. You have to focus on the improvements, whether it's in the product, whether it's in the service, whether it's in the infrastructure, whether it's in the technology. Improvement should be a constant thing. Then evidence-based decision making. In the organization, day to day, we are making some decisions. And what is this evidence-based decision making? Why this evidence-based decision making is one of the principles? It is basically taking a decision based on the data and the proper information, based on the factual data. When we take decisions, because the decisions can change the direction of the organization. A wrong decision can impact organization's sustainability to a greater extent. So all your decisions should be evidence based, means data based. It should be based on some analysis, some kind of analysis. So you have to promote a culture of systematic problem solving, systematic analysis in the organization. All your decisions all your decisions should be based on some factual data. Then comes the relationship management. The relationship in the sense, the relationship with the vendors, with the customers, with the third party, the interested parties, your employees, all these, because relationship management for an organization is very important. So the quality management is based on these principles. And the last thing in today's session is, what are the benefits of implementing this ISO 9001:2015? Why we will do something which is not beneficial to us? So knowing what are the benefits of implementing this ISO 9001 is also very important. So if implemented with the proper intent, this 9001 quality management system based on this 9001 standard will benefit the organization by consistently, the ability of the organization to consistently provide the product and services that meet customer as well as applicable statutory and regulatory requirements. So if we implement this 9001, it will make the organization able to meet the customer requirement, product and service requirement, as well as any statutory and regulatory requirement, which will help you to make a sustained growth or sustain your growth. It will facilitate you to enhance the customer satisfaction, because when we implement the quality management system based on this one, when we go to clause by clause, you will see that there are requirements which are stated in the standard for the focusing on the customer, meeting their requirements, for addressing the maintenance issues, for addressing the material vendor selection. So what will happen when we have a good material, when you have a good process, when you have a good machine, your product will be good, your services will be good, and with this your customer satisfaction will improve. Next is, the potential benefit is addressing risk and opportunities associated with the context and objectives. What is the context of the organization? When we define that one, what are the factors which affects the purpose of the organization, the growth of the organization? So it will also help organization to address the risk and opportunities associated with this one. So when you consider some factors which can affect organization's purpose, the objectives, the policies, you can get some opportunities also. So where there is a risk, there can be opportunity also. There was a risk of COVID infection and there was opportunity also. So the companies who are into the online thing, they see it as an opportunity. When you address the risk, it can turn into opportunity for you also. The same can happen to the organizations, and it will also benefit the organization by making it able to demonstrate conformity to specified quality management system requirements. तो 9001 में जो specified की है quality management system की requirements, it will help organization to demonstrate its conformity. So these are all the benefits of implementing the ISO 9001:2015. So with this, we are finishing today's session. If anyone has any doubt or they want to put forth their say what they think about today's session, they want to add into that something, they have some doubts about today's session, we can have the question answer session now. So anyone has any doubt or anyone want to speak on the content, they can open up. You have to participate. Okay, your participation is very, very important in making this training session effective. Yes, so if somebody want to speak, no doubts are there, we will close today's session and we will again meet tomorrow. We will start with the vocabulary. There are certain important definition which one must understand, and then we will go clause by. We will understand the clause structure and then we will go one by one, all the clauses, right from introduction to the scope, the normative references, vocabulary, everything. Okay, so I think there are no questions, so I can end the session. Okay, shall I end the session now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so bye bye. See you people tomorrow. Good night. I hope you people have enjoyed the session. If at all there is something you want us to improve, please do not hesitate to message me on the WhatsApp or give me a call. I need to understand your needs also. Something I have written down that you need this, your expectations are this, but if there is something which we are not able to meet, please put a message. We will try our best to meet that expectation also.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, okay. Okay, guys, bye bye. Good night. See you tomorrow. Thank you.
Good night, sir.
Good night.
Good night, sir.